Is that Nolan? Is that Nolan at 5'4", I should say? Or is that another black guy? Because the Ben Crump, remember, he was saying he's the only black guy on the beach. Remember, that's what Ben Crump was saying. So if this is another black guy, this proves that narrative wrong right there, that he was the only black guy out there. So who's that? Look right there. You cannot tell me that is the same boat. So now I officially have 3 pictures. We all have 3 pictures of this exact same boat, of trying to figure out who this boat belongs to.
It's kind of one of the biggest things to me about this case, right? Is when you have probably 7 people who were on the boat, if there was something that happened there and somebody's trying to hide it, 7 people together aren't going to be able to keep that a secret.
And the phone, him leaving the phone, is that a function of him just forgetting in the moment? I get why you wouldn't take a phone with you into the water, even if you're bouncing from boat to boat. I get it. I know that kids don't want to leave their phones, but I'm on a boat all the time. All right, I got water behind me. You know, we're water babies where I live. Kids don't bring their phones into the water.
So somebody has made fake toxicology reports and they're spreading them around online, and you have people believing these reports. We're going to take a look at one of these reports and I'm going to show you what to look for so you can see if it's fake or it's real. But most of all of them, 100% should be fake, just because they are keeping the autopsy sealed into the grand jury. Not only that, there's also been phone calls released and voicemails of death threats that have been made to the friends of Nolan Wells. We're going to listen to those calls, and the Cajun Navy officially released their report. So we're going to look at their report because there might be some questions in their report timeline wise that we can point to and see exactly what's going on. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at true crime cases, anybody who's missing, fugitives on the run, and I give you guys a deep perspective, deeper than what the big media will give you. And I also can give you a different point of view than what most can give you, because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I actually ran for 15 years, lived in different countries, under different names, then eventually turned myself in. Now I'm a motivational speaker. I help family members locate missing individuals and also help them locate fugitives that have done something horrific to a family member or to a loved one or a close friend. Well, for the past few days, couple of weeks, pretty much almost the whole month now, I've been reporting on Nolan Wells. And one of the reasons why is every single day, there is something new that comes up to where I have to research if it's fact or fiction. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is, with this case anyway, is what I'm realizing is they'll see certain evidence on TikTok or whatever social media account they're on, and they'll hear somebody say it. And because this person might have a certain amount of followers, they automatically will believe them. And then they will go on their social media and either copy and paste what they say or clip what they say or repeat it themselves and act like it's true. But a lot of these things that are coming out is just not true. So ever since it seems like July 8th or 9th, I have been trying to debunk all the false things that's been out there, or the things that's real, okay? Trying to put the timelines together so we can see exactly, what timeline is missing. Well, there is a Cajun Navy investigation report that is just made public, which I'm going to show you guys, okay? And compared to a lot of the videos I've done prior, this timeline, from what I've been saying, is what the Cajun Navy has been saying that is missing. And I think if we can get that timeline that is missing, we might be able to figure out exactly what happened to him. Was it an accidental drowning? Was it did somebody do something to him or anything like that? Now, right now, the evidence, if you actually look at the paper evidence does not show foul play at this time, okay? So we don't know. But then also the paper evidence does not show an accidental drowning. It doesn't, we don't have evidence for either or. All we have is a bunch of people saying this and saying that. We don't know. We don't even have the official autopsy from the first autopsy yet. The second autopsy, the second independent autopsy, he couldn't even determine anything. So we have to wait for the first one to go to a grand jury before we can even decide what's going on. Now, there has been another fake report going out, guys. There's a fake toxicology report, not just one, there's like 2 or 3. I'm going to show you one of the reports right now, okay, that is going around that's fake. And if you see one of these reports, I'm going to show you how you can actually tell sometimes if they're fake, because they will doctor them up. But at the same time, you know what they're doing? They're not paying attention to the detail, and they're letting some details slide. And guess what? You can actually see these details. So what I think some people are doing is they're taking an actual official toxicology report and pretty much erasing and pasting over them, but not paying attention to what they're pasting. All right. So let me show you what I have found. So we have this. I've never even heard of this place or this website. flairbg.jarvisfamily.com. It was a link from Facebook. Okay. So they posted, the original post was from Facebook. And from that Facebook post, I want to say it was a lot of comments on the post. And you had people believing it because they didn't actually click and read, all kind of things going on, right? But this says, shocking. Mississippi releases Nolan Wells toxicology results. High alcohol level, 90% chance of drowning due to excessive drinking. Published August 1st, 2026. So this was published a couple days ago. And once again, it says high alcohol level, 90% chance of drowning due to excessive drinking. So they have this in the big headlines. Okay. So when the average person reads this, they're gonna be like, oh my God. All right. Now, we do know from accounts of people, there has been heavy drinking. That we do know. Nolan is in 2 pictures with 2 cans in his hand of high noon. All right. That are cracked open. And there's been, statements of people saying, hey, Nolan was drinking. Now, there's statements of saying everybody was drinking. It's July 4th, guys. There's no police on the island. You can do whatever you want. Of course, everybody was drinking. Come on now. You have to be a fool not to think that, right? So this goes on to say Ocean Springs, Mississippi, in newly reported development, the Mississippi Department of Forensic Sciences officially released the toxicology results for the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. According to the information shared, the results show that Nolan's blood alcohol concentration was at a high level. This finding is said to correspond with earlier witness statements. So once again, the statements. So what they're doing is they're making these reports based off what people said. Not only what people said, there's also an email, okay, from officials that I showed you in a couple videos now, where in the email it tells you that it says alcohol level of intake and it says heavy, and they're talking about Nolan. So they're trying to make this match. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it because, be honest with you, it's all BS. So I'm not going to even waste your time with it. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go down to the actual toxicology report. Now, you see what these people do? This is what they do, guys. This is what they do. They give you a bunch of fluff beforehand. They make it sound like everything is that. This is how people fool you. They give you a bunch of fluff beforehand. They make it sound good. It's like a salesman trying to sell you a car. All right. And the car could be a lemon. He's going to make the car sound really good before you even get in and drive the car. The same thing what people are doing here. They're just pretty much overhyped salespeople. So they're selling you, all right, false hope, false dream, lies. They're selling these to you. So that way, by the time you actually see the lie, you don't believe it's a lie, okay? Now it says, although toxicology results are reported to have been released, many questions remain answered, okay? So we're saying the toxicology results are released, but many questions remain answered. They're saying that basically to, let's say, increase their credibility. As in like, we don't know everything, but we're going to show you this. You get what I'm saying? Nolan's family and attorney Ben Crump have constantly emphasized that they have not received the full official state autopsy file, and they continue to raise questions about other details in the case. All right, so let's keep going down. They're going to show you her crying. These people know what they're doing. They show you her crying. All right. The current status of the case. Then it talks about the case. Now we get into the state of Mississippi Department of Forensic Science. And you'll read this, right? And you're like, all right, report number. All right. And then you're going to see date of incident, July 6th. And you're like, okay. Then you're going to go down here to specimen type. All right. Peripheral blood, 0.18-0.22, preservation high, constant with pre-death alcohol consumption. Then it says ethanol. All right. 0.18, 0.22. So, but it says nothing else is detected, right? It says ethanol is detected in peripheral blood and vitreous humor at high levels consistent with alcohol consumption prior to death. So you look this like, oh, but here's the thing, guys. Look right here on this side, on the left side, report number, case number. Look at date of report, May 24th, 2024. But then on this side, you have date of incident, July 6, 2026. How do you get the date of report 2 years before the date of the incident? So you mean to tell me you made this report 2 years before it happened? You knew what was going to happen? So if you knew what was going to happen, why didn't you go out to Horn Island and stop it? So this is stuff you have to look out for. Now, there's another report going around where it says 2022. The other report will actually under here. Now, here's another way you can tell it's fake. Submitting agency, you don't see Nolan Wells' name on this one anywhere. Look. You do not see Nolan Wells' name on here anywhere. There's another one where it has his name underneath date of incident, but on date of report, it says 2022. So guys, when you see these things online, I'm going to say all of these are fake because they have not released them to nobody, okay? And we are good at trying to find public records. And as you guys been following me, you guys know that we are good over here of finding that. My assistant helps me out, Julia. We find every piece of article, court document you can name. We find it. But this is sealed to everybody. So we can't get our hands on it until after the grand jury to either that's going to indict anybody or not. All right. So right now, these are fake. Well, we also have voice recordings of the threats of death threats and all these other threats that people are actually calling voicemails, leaving their voice. Not only that, but actually talking to one, I believe is Warren's dad. They talk to Warren, Warren's dad, you can hear him picking up the phone saying hello. And then the person starts going off and then making threats. These are voice recordings. These have been obtained by Sarah Field. She obtained these, the journalist actually, from, I think, the lawyer. So let's take a listen to these voice recordings so you guys can see exactly what people are doing.
Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Father of...
Justice for Noah Wells, son for a son. Justice for Noah Wells, son for a son. Justice for Noah Wells, son for a son. Justice for Noah Wells, son for a son.
Hello?
Hello, am I speaking with Benjamin Hudson, mister?
Who is this?
You and your son gonna do, bro. And your wife. For what y'all did. Yeah, nah, answer the phone. You and your folks think y'all so smart, so slick. All these other dumb. Your son gonna get the worst of it. And he know it. He know it. Y'all ain't saving shit. Y'all can't say that little. Y'all can't say y'all self. But just know, it coming. It real coming. Yeah, your big ass sons and them gonna disable their account and all this other Bruce sons and them gonna disable their account and all this other Bruce ass. They know what's going on. They know what they did. They disabled their shit for a reason. They lowered up for a reason. They gonna follow this ass for a reason. They know why. Y'all have raised a whole bitch. This him and his little whole ass friends gonna do. Then they just gonna go back they day, still party like ain't shit. Like they ain't just take they so-called friends' life. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself.
Don't try and run now. Your son is a piece of shit, and he's about to get all the way f***ed up. Don't run now. You use a punk just like your son. You him. You guys are gonna get what the f*** is coming to you. I know he killed that little kid, man. You guys aren't shit. Your wife ain't shit. Fuck.
How can the father of somebody who murdered another person go and try to receive donations using the name of the victim? You know what you've done. I'm 22 years old. I'm just a bit older than your son, Warren. I can't believe that I live in a world with people like you and your son. I can't believe that I live in a world with evil white people who then go and falsely claim that they praise God.
Let me know below, what do you guys think about those recordings? Now, I don't know about you, but how low does your IQ level have to be to do things like this? And what, in doing stuff like this, what is the purpose? Do you have an end goal? What is the end goal of doing these things? Everything in life you do should have some sort of a goal, an end goal, something. So what is your end goal when you decide to pick up the phone, write a letter, to send a threat to somebody, knowing you're probably not going to even do anything in the first place? What do you think that's going to do? You think that's going to eventually scare somebody to tell the truth? Well, what if they are telling the truth? Then now you look like the idiot, and now you're the one going to jail, and now you're the one paying a fine, and now you're the one that has something on your record for the rest of your life. So when you try and get a job and they see, oh, you were making B threats, B-O-M-B threats over the phone to somebody, why should we hire you, sir, to work with these customers? We already had 2 people get arrested, okay? And it wasn't just because the first person got arrested. Well, they were already low on the totem scale because they were actually an offender. Yes, they are an offender, okay? They violated little people. They are an offender. Now, on YouTube, you have to be careful with certain language or they don't spread the video. So I hope you guys get what I'm saying. But they are an offender. They had to sign on that list so everybody knows where they live at. And then they go on and threaten Ashley Cole, who is the judge. Now, you have to remember, Ashley Cole was a human being, but she's also a judge. So when you threaten a judge, you're threatening a federal official. It's like threatening the police. You are going down. So you shouldn't be threatening anybody. I don't care who it is. You shouldn't be threatening Nolan's mom, anybody. But you have to use common knowledge. When you're doing this against somebody as a federal agent, federal official, somebody that works for the government, you're going down even faster. Then the second person got arrested out of Ohio. She was actually calling the whole federal building and called Jackson County Sheriff's Office and did the same thing to them. No wonder why she got arrested so quick. And she also has, if you look at her record, which I showed you guys before, her record, she's got multiple burglaries, assaults. She did time in prison. She almost acts like she ain't got nothing to lose. But this shows you the low level IQ of people of what they're doing. Guys, if you're watching this and you're thinking about doing something like that, save yourself the hassle, save everybody the time. Don't think about doing it. Don't even do it. It's no reason to do it. All is going to happen is you're going to end up going to jail and you're going to look like a fool. So we have the official, all right, reports from the Cajun Navy. Now, the Cajun Navy is not part of the government. The Cajun Navy is an independent organization. And then what they do is they go out and they help and look for, search for individuals who are missing, especially around the water. Now, I believe the Cajun Navy was formed around Katrina or right after Katrina happened in New Orleans because you had a lot of those people missing due to the floods. So they were formed after the Katrina, I do believe, and to help look for individuals. Now, a lot of these people who are in the Cajun Navy, there are experienced boaters, ex-military. A lot of them have extreme amount of experience of being in the water or flying around the water or things of that nature. So because of their experience, they were able to put all this together. Matter of fact, the Cajun Navy even offered their expertise to go out to Arizona and look for Nancy Guthrie. But Chris Nanos, if you don't know anything about that, the sheriff turned that down, and the Cajun Navy never went out there to look because they have access to resources with drones, dogs. They have it all at their disposal. Okay, so here is their official report when they were actually out looking for Nolan. All right.
The people who came over to Horn Island with Nolan did not leave with him.
Yeah, I think it's very clear because they put together a timeline of from all the tips that they had received, because like you mentioned, they were there, they were a part of the search for Nolan Wells when originally he was missing and then later his body discovered, and they were there too when his body was discovered. So they've been getting a lot of tips and really spearheading the investigation.
They also they've gotten new photographs that we hadn't seen.
Yep. So this is they compiled together a bunch of photos that they had obtained from tipsters, information, interviews with people.
There's one thing that really caught my interest. There were a bunch of boats in the area, and they were identifying each boat. But there's one boat that they called Boat X.
Yeah.
So this says geospatial timeline and vessel movement analysis. So basically what this is it gives you like kind of the geo movements of the boats. So we already have the GPS of the boats. I showed you guys that in a few other videos. The time the boat actually got to Horn Island was around like 11:14. Then it shows it actually stayed at Horn Island in a stationary position and didn't actually move off of Horn Island to 4:31, which the last time Nolan Wells was seen on the island was 4:30 due to what Nolan's own mom has said and even told police on dispatch, because somebody sent her pictures and videos of him being on the island at 4:30, which I also have a picture here that somebody said as well. Now, during the interviews, people don't ask her these questions, but I wish they would. We're going to get into that later about some of the questions. And every video I do in this, okay, I have questions, and until they're answered, I'm going to always answer those questions because hopefully one of these people doing these interviews hear it and maybe they're brave enough to ask. But let's look at what this is right here, okay? So this right here gives you like investigative focus. All right. So I'm going to break this down to you as easy as I can. All right. The central questions are straightforward, but the available record is not yet complete. It says at what time, question mark, which boats were present, question mark, which boats moved, question mark. So basically they're going to try and answer all the questions that need to be answered in order to find out what happened to Nolan. All right. Then it even says, when did the Triton begin taking on water? All right. What happened between Nolan's last independently corroborated sighting and the 4:31 departure of the boat, which Nolan. So here's right here, the 4:31. Remember, that's when the boat allegedly left. 4:31. Now, I don't even have to say allegedly because that's what the GPS shows. And the GPS is actually from the Department of Mississippi Marine Resource or whatever it was. All right. So they actually downloaded the actual GPS from the boat itself. I have the waiver, and I have the waiver of the search and seizure of the boats. All right. And I showed you guys in a couple of those videos. So if you guys are new, you can go in a couple of videos and see I showed the waivers of those. Now, right here, it says executive findings. All right. So it says the MDMR. All right, Mississippi Department of Marine, and I forgot what the R is. I think research, I can't remember. Search datum shown in the supply correspondence. Now, this gives you the GPS coordinates, all right? Which, 30 by 14.626. I would be lying if I told you what coordinate that is right now, all right? I would be lying, and I'm pretty sure most of us watching this video wouldn't know anyway. But it says these two deceptions therefore appear to refer to essentially the same location subject to the normal map GPS precision. So what it's saying is their findings match what the MDR-MR GPS. So pretty much these are corroborating, as in so far nobody has lied about where these boats have been. Then it says second map point, a second supplied coordinate right here, and it gives you the coordinates. And then it says meters from the MDMR origin vessel, the media supplied here does not establish what event that second point represents. So there is one point in here that does not establish what it represents, okay? Then you keep going on, and we're going to get, like I said, I'm going to try and break this down as best as I can. It says the noted stills consistently depict a cluster that the source labels boat 1, boat X, boat 2, and boat 3. Because these have pictures in here, guys, and some of these pictures you might not have seen before, all right? And then it says Palm Beach and the Triton. These are the two most famous boats that we all know, because the Triton is the one Nolan rode in on. And I believe the Triton is also the one that was catching, the water. Now, some people looked at the picture and they're like, we don't see no water. What do you mean? We don't see no water. This is how you can tell when some people are not boaters, all right? Now, I don't consider myself to be an experienced boater or anything, but I live here in Florida. I'm surrounded by water. I'm surrounded by boats. All my neighbors got boats or jet skis. The beach is 45 minutes away from me, okay? I got Clearwater Beach pretty much at my doorstep, which is one of the #1 destinations in all of the world to go to a beach. White Sands, Clearwater. I got Cocoa Beach on the other side. Not too far. I'm 3 hours and something away from Miami South Beach. I have water and boats all around me. Okay. And we have seen plenty of hurricanes. Where hurricanes, too much excess water would get in the boat and the boat will start sinking or tip over from the wind. Now, when you see pictures of these boats, all right, now, this video was released the other day. So if you saw my last video, this is when I was asking, hey, is this Nolan Wells on the back of this boat? Because some people think it's him, some people don't. And the only reason why, because there was a video that was shown a week prior to this one, of which looked like Nolan Wells on this exact same boat. So people is wondering whose boat this is, which we are going to talk about later, a possibility of whose boat this is, but there is no guarantee. But you see this picture right here? If there is water in the boat, you can't tell by this picture, because look how far it goes up. It goes up pretty much like the side of the boat. You got to remember, people are standing in it, standing in the boat, right? So it probably, to an average person, the sides of the walls of these boats will probably go up a little past your knees, up to your thigh, in some cases, even your waistline. So if inside the boat, even if the water is up to your ankles, that is too much water inside the boat, and that means your bilge pumps is not working, and your boat has the potential to flood and sink. That is why the boys, when they got on the boat, was like, "Oh, we have to leave." Most likely, they looked down, saw water was at over their feet to their ankles, like, "Oh, we got to go," because they know the boat's not supposed to take on that much water. And you're not going to be able to see that from pictures like this, because look, you can't even see these people's feet. So hopefully I explained that to some people, because some people left comments on a couple of my videos, and I realized they're saying, well, we don't see no water. Well, you're not going to see the water, because it's not like the water is going to be overflowing out the boat. If that happens, guys, it's too late. The boat's is going down. All right. So you're not going to see it from that angle. Sometimes you physically have to be in the boat to see it. You're not going to see it from the outside, because you got to remember, the boat is deep inside of it and it has walls. Well, on to what this says. 2 supplied screen recording videos displayed phone interface, clock times of approximately 3:23 and 4:27. The 4:27 recording shows boats and people in the anchorage. Now we're going to show you the pictures, okay? Because these are the clocks visible inside captured social media content. They should be treated as timing indicators, not automatically as verified original camera timestamps, okay? So not verified timestamps, but at least timing indicators, all right? That way you can get kind of a timeline of what's going on. 4:31 departure hinge. The stated 16:31, which is 4:31 departure time of the boat of which Nolan arrived at Horn Island, sits only minutes after the 4:27 embedded clock visual. If the 4:27 time corresponds to the event itself, that media could be highly probative of the immediate pre-departure vessel configuration. Original file metadata or platform ports, basically saying that 4:31 on the GPS of them leaving, what the boys are even saying, is most likely right, due to what they're even seeing on their in. And this is from the Cajun Navy, all right? Now, the Cajun Navy is not part of the Mississippi government. Cajun Navy, out of everybody, guys, I don't believe should have no kind of cover up or nothing like that. Why? Their whole job and what they do and what they found this on was to help find individuals and help find them. That's their sole purpose. After, if anything happened to them, that's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is to find where they're at. And in order to find where they're at, they have to do an investigation themselves to see where, hey, where was this boat? Where was this person? So that way they know where to look. All right. And this is what makes them very good at what they do. And they have a high success rate of finding people. It also says post 31, witness material. A supply social media statement places an almost fighting group around 5:00 p.m. and says Bertram with a blue top left shortly thereafter, pretty fast. A reply disputes that the relevant person was Nolan and says a different young man was present. The conflict is important precisely because it prevents treating the 5 p.m. account as a confirmation sighting of Nolan. So what they're saying is 5 p.m. there was video footage of an altercation that went on. Some people were saying this is Nolan. Now, if this was Nolan, this means Nolan was there fighting after the boys left, okay? Because there is reports of people seeing Nolan past 4:30 now. There's even some people saying, hey, we stayed behind with Nolan, which we're going to talk about, all right? Another supply social media image states the commentator was parked next to the group and Nolan was nowhere in sight when a commentators left at 7:30. This is a reported observation, but it's not verified. Then it says a core gap. The supply package does not by itself establish a continuous, independently corroborated chain from Nolan's last known sighting through 4:31 p.m. The gap remains critical, which we are going to talk about the gap. Now, these came from TMZ. TMZ did obtain these reports from the Cajun Navy, all right, of it all. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to this. Now, remember I told you about the email where it said heavy intoxicated? Once again, they're right here are showing the email. And if you look, food intake, unknown, okay? Alcohol intake, heavy, clothing, shorts, only. So there was communication. Somebody communicated that, hey, alcohol intake was heavy. And somebody communicated that, hey, shorts only. Now, this right here is the actual coordinations. As you see, these red dots, this is the tip of Horn Island. All right. Calculation comparison. The figure 3A pin is approximately 1.5 miles from the MDR origin vessel datum. Figure 3B is approximately 279, meters from the MDR datum, and about 279 meters from figure 3A. This is a strong geospatial match for 3A, but it does not by itself establish when the vessel occupied that point or what occurred there. So you see, it's basically saying that from their investigation, from what they have found, the boat pretty much matches where the boat should have been. All right. Then it gives you an outer. You can see right here. This is the tip of Horn Island. All right. Now, here's the one thing I'm noticing. It looks like right here, the boat is on the western tip. All right. But it's inland of Horn Island is what I'm seeing. Now we're going to go to a map and I'm going to say this right here might matter. I don't know if anybody has seen this or really thought about this or pictured this because I didn't really think about this till now. Where was Nolan bodies found? Now they claim that his body was found. I think it was if you guys correct me, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was Dog Keys Pass is where they found his body. I'm going to show you where Dog Keys Pass is compared to where this boat is, because Ben Crump this whole time has been saying Nolan's body has been found in the exact same spot he was last seen at. You have to remember that this is what Ben Crump has been saying. His body has been found in the last section where he was seen at. He might be wrong. I don't know. But I'm going to show you something on the map because this right here does not match where his body was found. But let's keep going. Here we go. I don't know if you guys seen all these. Boat 1, and it gives you all the different boats. Boat 2, this is boat X, and this is boat 3. All right. So this first picture you see here, it says Warren on Palm Beach. So this looks like this picture actually was taken from the Palm Beach. And then you see people in the water. Okay. Then you see this is from the fight video. Right here it says boat X is missing. Because if you look up here, boat 1, okay, boat X, boat 2, and then boat 3. And this right here in the fight video, it says boat 2, boat 3, but it says boat X is missing. So boat X took off. Whoever boat X was took off. All right. And it says the vessel arrangement changed between the two deceptive figurations. If the source labels are accurate, what it does not yet support the exact time boat X moved, its destination, its occupants, or whatever movements it related to in Nolan's disappearance. So right now we have boat X, which is right here in the middle. And the reason why this is blurry is because it's zoomed in. In the fight video, boat X is gone. Nobody knows exactly what happened with boat X. Then right here, it shows the picture of the Triton, okay? And it says on board the Triton. Now, I have this picture down here too myself. Let me show you this picture. So this is the same picture, okay, that they have down here underneath onboard Triton, which is right underneath Nolan. So I have the exact same picture, all right? And the boat right here should be the Triton. And then right next to it should be the Palm Beach, all right? And if you look, you have 1, 2, looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, might even be 9 people on this boat, which is more than what the boat should take on. I read up the boat, the capacity, I believe, was like 7. All right. It also has a weight limit. And you can also see, look how the boat's leaning on one side. So you can see it's leaning on one side. Now, in the back of these boats, you have these drain plugs and plugs where water leaves and comes out the boat, things like that. Like you see the one back here. Now, if the boat's leaning on one side because of too many people, then it's a better chance of it taking on water because now water's entering the boat through a plug or through one of these drain, and then people getting in and on and off the boat that's wet from the shorts and things like that. Now, in this picture, the one thing you don't see is you don't see Nolan. I don't see Nolan anywhere in this picture. Even on the Palm Beach, I don't see Nolan, okay? Now, if we come back to here, now right here, this is a photograph from the shoreline. Up here it says shoreline photograph, Frontier Bay position change. The newly supplied photograph is I can't even talk right now, is represented as having been taken at 1650, which I believe is 450. So 1650 is 450, correct, right, guys? That means this will be after the boys left at 431, okay? So we finally get a picture that is verified after the boys left. We have pictures, I have pictures, but the problem is we can't verify time. So we finally now get a picture or some pictures with some verified time, all right? It says key visual observation. Frontier Bay, which is boat 2, is no longer in the earlier original position shown in figure 5A. This is consistent with the later fight video still, where the vessel configuration has likewise changed. If the 1650, which is 450 captured time, is authenticated, the photograph establishes an upper bound time. Frontier Bay had moved from its earlier position by 1450. It does not establish the exact minute of movement, destination, or any connection between that movement and Nolan's disappearance. So here you go. All right. And as you see, you don't see the Triton, you don't see the Palm Beach, but you do see people walking. Now, right here. Who's that? Who is that? Is that Nolan? Is that Nolan at 450, I should say? Or is that another black guy? Because the Ben Crump, remember, he was saying he's the only black guy on the beach. Remember, that's what Ben Crump was saying. So if this is another black guy, this proves that narrative wrong right there, that he was the only black guy out there. So who's that? Now, the shorts do look a little darker than what Nolan's was wearing, but then again, it's hard to tell because we don't know if these shorts are darker when they're wet, lighter when they're wet. That part we don't know. Now, the one thing I do notice, let's zoom in some more. The one thing I do notice, guys, I don't see no phones in any of their hands whatsoever. You guys see a phone? I sure enough don't see one. Now, is Katie in one of these pictures? Now, from my knowledge, from some snapshots, Katie had on a blue bikini. I don't see any of these individuals with a blue bikini. But what do you guys think? Do you think that is Nolan right here or no? Very interesting, huh? Here's some more snapshots. Video derived from timing indicators. Okay, now this is exactly, I guess, from Paige. Then another one from Anna. All right. It says, caution on clock interpretation. The display times are visible in screen recorded social media content. They may be the phone's current time when the screen recording was made rather than the original event recording time. Authentication requires the underlying original post file platform metadata. So basically it's saying, you have the time right here in the corner, but you really can't verify if this is the correct time or not. It's pretty much what they're saying. So let's zoom in on these. So I do not see the Triton. And even though this says 3:23, so this should have been before the Triton left and the Palm Beach left. But we don't know what angle this is from. And then on this boat right here, this is a totally different boat. Okay, and this is at 4:27. I don't see anybody in the water that looks like Nolan. So let's keep going down. Here's another picture. The wide panoramic videos are valuable for physical context and vessel feature matching. Standing alone, however, they do not supply a reliable event time stamp or full movement track. All right, so let's zoom in on this one. This is the work it takes, guys, when you're doing these, a case. It really takes looking at the detail of everything that you can see. Now, you're not going to see everything. You will miss stuff. And then sometimes you have to keep going back to look. And then sometimes you might be like, oh, I didn't notice that before. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for any boats that look familiar to me. I'm looking for the Triton. I'm looking for the Palm Beach. All right. I'm also looking for the Mac Daddy boat that apparently Nolan was seen on, which we're going to talk about later. The Mac Daddy boat, which was a high-speed fishing boat with it's called a tuna catcher on the top of it. I believe that's what it's called, okay? And the boat looks like it's a custom Carolina. I'm going to show you guys that. But I don't see any of the boats matching any of the boats that I can remember. Now, later on, I might have to go and look at the pictures of boats I have and compare them. This is my first time going over this, all right? I haven't gone over this yet. Now it says Triton, water ingress question. None of the supplied still videos correspond or social media screenshots established when the Triton began taking on water. The report therefore does not assign a time or cause, because once again, I told you guys from these pictures, you can't look inside and see, okay, the boat's taking on water. You can't. You have to be inside. All right. The strongest evidence that could resolve this question would include original onboard photos, videos showing bilge level, pump deck, scrubber condition, or passenger response, bilge pump electrical history, breaker fuse condition, and any automatic pump activation evidence. Chart plotter, GPS track, and speed changes around the reported departure, outboard ECU, engine hour, RPM. So it pretty much breaks down how you can tell possibly when the boat could have been taking on too much water, which is by looking at the boat's data print. All right. Post departure witness statements, what they do and do not establish. Now this one right here, it says, one of my passengers is pretty certain he was part of the group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. The bathroom with the blue top that I posted left shortly after that and pretty fast. So this right here matches what we read earlier, okay, with the still shot of somebody saying there was an altercation going on at 5 o'clock p.m., which will be after the boats left. It says this right here. Matthew Lamp, sir, you are sadly mistaken. We are the group you yelled at as you pulled up, thinking we were going to hit you, and we weren't. We were paying attention. Totally different kid was with us. I was with the Bethlehem boat, and we had no affiliation with him. We had to hear this happen, but do not smear people if you did not actually see something happen. This causes more issues for the people in charge trying to find this baby, and he creates stories that are false. And we did speak to the boys, and at that moment, he did have an entire vodka bottle in his hand. So he says, or she says, we spoke. Who had an entire vodka? Who are they talking about? Who is this person? All right. You need to revamp your statement and not put blame towards anyone. We don't even know what happened, but I will tell you, you are mistaken. Give the cops my name and I will let them know who really had on our boats. So you have this little beef going on between these two about an altercation that allegedly happened at 5 o'clock involving somebody with a whole bottle of vodka in their hand. All right. It says the two statements conflict on the identity of the person associated with the group. Lance wording itself, secondhand, one of my passengers is pretty certain because he's not saying it's him. He's saying one of my passengers. So basically something he heard. While Thomas explicitly says he's mistaken. Therefore, the material cannot responsibly be presented at the confirmation 5 p.m. sighting of Nolan. All right. So you have two conflicting reports right there. Then you have this picture that I did show you guys earlier. We were parked right next to them. There was nowhere in sight. And then it says we left at 7:30 p.m. The 7:30 statement is potentially useful as a negative observation, but only after establishing exactly where the commander's vessel was located, what area was visible, how long the commander was present, and how the commentator knew whom to look for, which is true. How did they know to look for Nolan during that picture? Think about that, right? This is before or anybody knew Nolan was missing. So how would they even know? So you got to think about all this stuff. Sometimes you have to use common sense and use knowledge. Right here, it says the missing piece. The evidence presently supplied does not answer the most important question. What happened during the uncooperated interval immediately before asserted 4:31 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island? The work and reconstruction suggests 5 specific inventory problems that must be solved together. Authenticate the last independently corroborated sighting of Nolan. Exact time, location, source, and medium. So all that talk, okay? When you hear Ben Crump saying he was last seen here and his body turned up in the same location, right here they're saying there is no authentication of the exact point Nolan was even seen. All right. Authenticate the 3:23 and 4:27 media. Determine whether those times are even times, post times, or screen recording times. Identify boat X. and determine when it left the configuration shown beside boat 1 and boat 2, where it went, or who was aboard. Yes, because boat X took off, allegedly during this altercation, and nobody knew where boat X went. And nobody knows who's on boat X. Nobody knows who boat that is or anything. Authenticate the 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island using primary electronic data rather than recollection. As in, all these people were drinking. You just heard a statement of somebody saying they had a whole bottle of vodka in their hand. So you mix that, and now they're trying to remember exact times. And guys, these people were drinking and stupid out their minds. So a lot of them aren't going to remember the exact times of anything. So we need actual data. Then you have another picture here. Plate A, wide shoreline image with 3 source added blue arrows. Useful for anchorage scale orientation, not precise geolocation without camera position data. So you have this picture right here, which they are zooming in on, all right? And right here, guys, you know what this picture is right here? You guys know what boat this is? I spotted this one right away. This is the 3rd time this unknown boat has been seen and it's associated with Nolan in some sort of way. This is the 3rd time, guys, and I keep preaching on whose boat is this. And the reason why I know, because look, I can see, you guys might not be able to see it, but there is a yellow dry bag on the back of the boat. This is the boat I mentioned earlier, the speed fishing boat, which looks like a custom Carolina. And now you see it, so see how it's higher than the rest of the boats? Because it's got a tuna catcher on here. So whoever owns this boat takes fishing probably seriously, okay? And let me show you the picture of the boat. So like I said, I'm just now going over this. I've never seen these pictures yet from the Cajun Navy, but something tells me that we need to find out exactly who this boat belongs to. They could be holding some secrets that we don't know. Look right there. You cannot tell me that is the same boat. So now I officially have 3 pictures. We all have 3 pictures of this exact same boat, of trying to figure out who this boat belongs to. This very first picture, we all swear this is Nolan that's bending over, okay? With whoever that man this is talking to this woman, and there's a yellow dry bag. The yellow dry bag gives it away, all right? And the dry bag is what you put your phone in to keep it from getting wet. And I believe the reason why they have it right there on the end of the boat is for, see all the people in the water? So they can easily put their phone in there when they're not using it, or easily grab it when they need it. Then you have the picture down here, which we talked about the other day. We don't know if this is Nolan. Now, it doesn't really look like him, but we don't know. But this is the same exact boat, yellow dry bag, except now this boat, and the boat's tied down. Now, we don't know if this is earlier in the day or later in the day. But we do know the timeline is not the same as this picture. Why? Look, you don't really see anybody around them. Now, it's very bright in this picture, so this could be earlier in the day when they first got there. This looks like it could be later in the day because it's not as bright, but it also could be the camera. We don't know. And then you have this picture right here. And if you look closely, you see the yellow dry bag. You see on top, it's a tuna catcher. Look at all 3 of these. And I told you guys, this right here looks like it is a custom Carolina, or I believe you pronounce it Hatteras. I can't remember how you pronounce that, but I believe that's what this boat is. So here is a boat that's a Hatteras, all right? Hatteras and Custom Carolina. Now, I'm not a big boat or nothing like that, but I just knew about these 2 boats because I see them all the time. So I believe we pronounce it Hatteras, but a Hatteras, here's a Hatteras. It looks very similar, as you see, to the boat that says Mac Daddy. Very similar. So it could be a Hatteras. I don't know. For any of you guys out there that are boaters, is this a custom Carolina boat that this Mac Daddy is, or is it a Hatteras? You can even send me an email. My description's below. Let me know, all right? Because I'm curious to figure this out because I want to figure out whose boat this is. This might be able to solve a lot of things. So it goes on to say that the last independently corroborated sighting of Nolan, according to report, happened between 3:23 p.m. and 4:27 p.m. And there are loads of unanswered questions about his whereabouts during that time frame. So between 3:23 and 4:27 p.m. are the questions of the time frame of about where Nolan was at exactly, what he was doing, was he hanging out with anybody, was Katie there, what time did she leave? All these questions are still pretty much unanswered. Some people were speculating that sea tow, when the kids caught sea tow, that the water was taking, the boat was taking on too much water, that sea tow was covering up and somehow related to the boys and things like that. And we're going to get into that if it's even possible. But I did get some emails of people asking me to research into sea tow. Now, sea tow is a big company. It's like their version of AAA. Now, sea tow is not the only company that does this. What happens is you call sea tow the dispatch. And then what they do is then they call a captain that's already out in the water. And then that captain comes and helps you out, whatever help you need. Very similar to AAA or any other thing that you might have for your car. Now, sea tow now sea tow is a big company, but it's also independently franchised. All right. So right here you have Sea Tow South Mississippi. So they are the ones who take care of, I guess, the whole, Biloxi area. All right. So it's a franchise. So this person franchised them. Now it has if you go to the actual Facebook page, it gives you the phone number, which I'm covering it up, and also gives you the actual email address to email the actual captain, which I covered up too, because I don't dox people here that don't need to be doxed. All right. So that's one thing I don't do. So there's no proof that they covered anything up. There's nothing like that. They were just probably out there doing their job. Now since right here, if you actually go to it, you can see their phone number and you can see their email address, meaning that you probably don't even have to call the 1-800 number or whatever it is on the back of the car. Like if you call AAA, you probably can call them directly. It's right there. Matter of fact, you can email them directly because that email goes to one of the owners. I looked up who the owners of the company is. It's a father and his son, and that email actually goes to them. So you can contact them directly and if you need issues. Now, this is probably how the grandfather was on the phone with the captain, and then the captain was like, oh yeah, I was just on the phone with the grandfather. That's probably how that happened. He probably already knew the direct number and probably called them directly. Similar to if you guys ever broke down in your car and you called AAA or you called any other tow there's other things out there besides AAA, right? And sometimes AAA aren't coming. Sometimes it is a third-party tow company that comes to you. So it would be the same thing as a third-party tow company come to you. You can get their number and then call them directly in case anything happens, okay? In case you got to tow the vehicle to a second location instead of calling AAA again, you can call them directly. And their number will be on the side of the tow truck, so it's not hidden, so you can call them directly. So it's the exact same, kind of the same process, except it's for boats. And because of this, you can cancel it easily, especially if you get your car jumped. Same thing with a boat, okay? I told a viewer, I was on a boat one time, the battery died, and they had to call their version of sea tow. And their version of sea tow said it would take a couple hours, but by that time, there was somebody else with their boat, and then they jumped the other boat. I don't know exactly what happened, but they got it started and running. He was able to call and cancel it, and then we went on about our way. The questions that I'm always going to have, and that a lot of you people watching this should have as well. And these are legit questions. First of all, first question, who exactly did Katie leave with from the island? All right. Because If you look at her sister's post, some people took the words and what they did was misconstrue her words. All right. But if you look at Katie's sister's post, she says that she left on a boat with different people, meaning she didn't leave on a boat with Nolan's friends, but she left with different people. Then in the second paragraph, she puts, hey, then our sister and brother-in-law, or our brother and sister-in-law picked her up, but she doesn't say where from. So I'm thinking maybe they picked her up from the mainland. She took a boat with different people and then they picked her up from the mainland. What some people are saying is that she called her brother and they picked her up from the island. All right. So I could see where that confusion comes because in the post is not really clarified, you know what I mean, of where they picked her up from. But before she says they picked her up, she does say she took a boat with other people. All right. Now, the other thing is exactly what time did Katie leave? We know the boys left before Katie. Nolan allegedly was last seen with Katie. Now, some people are coming out now and saying Nolan was seen with another woman or another girl. They don't know who the girl was. I just showed you a picture earlier. Was that Nolan? Because that didn't look like Katie they were walking with. It looked like a group of 4 or 5 people. There's another picture that I showed in a couple videos ago that actually looks like the same group now that I think about it. And it looks like Nolan and they're walking on the beach, but from somebody who's far away and you have to zoom in and the pixels get distorted. So who else was there that Nolan was probably hanging around with and possibly knew? All right. We know Trayston was there. All right. Now Trayston was there. And we know he left early because he got into an altercation and his uncle made him leave. So he left before everybody else, or the other boats did, I should say. The 3 most important boats. Now, the one question I do have is what time Katie left. If I'll speak to Katie, what time exactly did you leave? Who did you leave with exactly? Now, I have some names of the boat, of the party that she was with. I'm not going to disclose them because, like I said, we don't do that here unless somebody I know is exactly involved. But we don't know anything. So I'm not going to disclose them. So I do know some names that she was with. I do know locations that she probably went to afterwards and left from. The same thing with Nolan and his friends, okay? I do know other people who was in the boats. There was about 20 or 25 kids that came with Nolan to Horn Island, not just the 3 boys and Nolan. All right. So if somebody tells you that, that's a lie. It was around 20 or 25 kids and 3 separate boats that all traveled together, all partying, that came with Nolan. And I found a lot of the names in those boats outside the 3 that we already know of. All right. So I do know that. And the timeline, when did Katie leave? Who exactly did she leave with? All right. Who Nolan exactly was last seen with, and who was he seen with? Was it in the water or was it in the sand? That can play a big difference. If he was last seen, let's say in the water, like everybody else, or the water's chest and neck deep, and he was last seen in the water, now it could be possible, hey, this guy possibly could have drowned, because what people are saying, and if you go to the interview with Warren, and you could see it in the back, so you know he's not lying, where he says you can be walking in the water where it's 6, 5, 4 feet deep or whatever, and then it just drops off, and now you're looking at 17, 20 feet or more deep. So you could be walking and all of a sudden just boom, a drop off. And you can actually see the line of where it gets deeper in the water. That would be the drop off. So it could be very possible, going out to use the bathroom. He went to use the bathroom because there's no bathroom facilities there. So you got to find a bush or you got to go out in the water, which you're probably not going to use the bathroom next to somebody else. You're probably going to go out there private. So if you're walking out there private and somebody did last see him in the water and he took too many 2 steps and dropped off, it is very possible, all right? Especially if you drop off and panic, you suck in water and you start panicking, it's very easy for somebody to drown. I don't care the strongest swimmer you are, okay? Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor, we just lost him in a drowning incident, okay? The guy who played Theo Huxtable for everybody's favorite family in the Cosby Show, was it last year? We just lost him in a drowning incident, okay? accidentally, and they said he could swim. So it is very possible. Now, if somebody saw him on the sand walking with people, now we could be talking about something different, because when did he separate from these people, and what were these people doing? Were they drinking more? Is it the person that had the vodka in their hand? Some people are saying drugs are involved now. Did somebody give Nolan some? Did they force him some? Did they slip some in his drink while he wasn't looking? Did he voluntarily even take some because he wanted to have fun that last hurrah before, school started? Now, some people are saying he wouldn't have done it because he played football. And my answer to that is, guys, all you have to do is use Google. There's multi-million-dollar players right now playing Major League Baseball, football, basketball, even hockey, who get in trouble almost every year for taking some substance they shouldn't have been taking. And these guys are already signing million-dollar contracts, and they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Matter of fact, there's a player right now, I can't remember who it is. He just got in trouble for riding a scooter. This is his second time riding a scooter and getting hurt. He is a multi-million-dollar player who shouldn't be riding scooters. It is in your contract. And he just got in trouble again for riding a scooter and hurt himself on the scooter. You're riding a $300 scooter, but you have a multi-million-dollar contract. Who remembers Jason Williams? A lot of people probably don't remember him. Jason Williams was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. I believe it was like a decade, 2 decades ago. Very promising player coming out of Duke, point guard. And what happened to him? He signed a contract with the Bulls. In your contract, you're not supposed to be playing pickup basketball. You're not supposed to be riding scooters. You're not supposed to be riding motorcycles. What did he do? Go out and ride a motorcycle, got hurt, got into a wreck. Jason Williams was never the same again. They voided his contract. So it is possible, because, it's because somebody does sports does not mean they don't want to try something for once or do something because they're not thinking straight, especially for an 18-year-old, guys. We have to remember 18, 19, we were all in that predicament one time in our life, to where we made some dumb decisions when we were that young, not thinking, like just thinking in a moment, because that's what they do. They think in a moment. A lot of them do not think 5 years ahead, especially while they're partying. So just use common sense sometimes. And then my next question would be for Christine. And I can understand you not knowing all of your son's friends. I understand this, okay? Because I have kids myself. But it's almost to the point to where they're saying almost like Nolan only had one friend, and that was Javon. These kids weren't his friends. Trayston wasn't his friends. We don't know Trayston, but Trayston's sitting here saying, I've been over the house a couple times.
Was you said in your interview that you were really, really good friends with Nolan, his best friend. Nolan's mother said on television that as if she don't even know you.
Have you spoken to Trayston since Nolan's passing, and how are you responding to his account of what happened?
So first of all, we don't know Trayston. We've never met him. So to say, best friend, childhood friend, that's a bit of a stretch.
So what's the truth in that? And how did that affect you? How did that make you feel?
So she originally touched and she said that we weren't childhood best friends. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I moved to Ocean Springs in 9th grade. I met Nolan in 9th grade, as I've stated in my Rolling Stone interview. Nolan was my best friend, though. She can believe it or not, that was my best friend. No, me and her never had a sit-down, in-depth conversation like me and you're having now. It was always, hey, how are you doing? I've been to her house multiple times. I've taken Nolan to school multiple times. I've left my vehicle at her house multiple times, even including the new vehicle I just got has gotten left at her house for 2 days. And I just got it. I haven't even had it for 4 months. My vehicle before that stayed at her house for almost a week. Me and her son went on trips together. We went to Florida for spring break together. You don't know me? I'm in all these homecoming and prom photos as our whole friend group. Me and Nolan are standing next to each other. You don't know me. Nolan's last name is Wells. My last name at one point in time was Walker. We were by each other in the alphabet when we graduated.
Trayston even said, my car was parked there for days. We went to spring break together to Florida. My car was parked at the house for a week. Now, the dad did say because you park your car at the house don't mean we know you. He did say that. But I'm sorry, if you're parking your car in my driveway, or whatever at my house, you're parking a car. I don't know how their neighborhood is, but I might need your keys because of my neighborhood. I might need to move your car, especially out my driveway to get in my garage, or even if it's in the street in front of my house. Okay. Because I live in an HOA. I don't know if you guys know about HOAs, but they go by rules and you can't do everything that you can do outside of an HOA, but their situation could be different. I don't know. But I just found it odd that they're claiming that they don't know Trayston. So it's like, do you know them? Who was lying? And why would somebody lie like that? Okay. Why would Trayston lie to say he know Nolan? Now, some people can say he's trying to cover something up, but then why would Christine lie to say she don't know Trayston? Okay. Some people say she's going for a narrative, which a lot of people are saying now because Ben Crump are involved. They're going for money grab and things of that nature. I'm not saying that's what she is doing. Now, we all know Ben Crump's history. Ben Crump does not get involved unless he's going to get some money. I don't care what you say. Please bring me up a case where Ben Crump has actually pressed charges on somebody. He's a civil attorney. It's all about suing and getting money. All right. He's one of the most well-known attorneys, to do that, which I don't blame him, especially if there's negligence involved with Nolan's death. Then yeah, go out and get everything you can. But if there's no negligence, then what's going to happen? Now, who are you suing? But it's just a lot of questions that I think if they were answered might fit the timeline. Warren said he called Christine. Now Christine did come out and say, yeah, he called me, but then Warren also said we had the phone and the keys. Christine has never once said this in an interview. And these people aren't giving these follow-up questions. It's like Brian Enton from News Nation. He is one of my favorites ever because Brian Enton will give a follow-up question no matter who he's interviewing. And if he doesn't realize or know what the answer is, he will give another follow-up question to confirm what that person is saying. He is not scared to give a follow-up question. And that's one of the reasons why I like Brian Enton from News Nation, okay? Because when you're interviewing somebody, I believe follow-up questions is probably more important than the initial question, because the follow-up question can lead to even more answers. Because right now we're getting questions and then answers, but they're really not answers, if you get what I'm saying. Allegedly, a deputy of the family is claiming that they know Katie, and this deputy is claiming to be Nolan's aunt or a family member, which we don't know. I can't verify that. I tried to look, but I couldn't verify that. But they're claiming that Katie's been a family of the friend for a long time, that they went to family functions together, and things like that. But then Nolan's mom is saying she's never met Katie. So what family is she talking about that Katie's friend? See, it's clarifications like that. And that was posted by the Daily Mail, which is actually known for not putting out a lot of reputable things anyway. But why not try and get some clarification? What is going on with that? That's why things are left open. Now, even with Katie, a lot of people are saying that boat, Mac Daddy, that I just showed you 3 pictures of, some people are saying that boat is connected to Katie. Now, I have tried, guys, to see who this boat belongs to. I cannot see or figure out who it belongs to yet. I am still working on it. I'm still trying, but I have not found the exact person this boat belongs to. I've even went on social media through their family to see if there's any boats. Because a lot of times when you have when people have boats, especially a boat like that's a sport fishing boat, okay, with a tuna catcher on it. Whoever owns that boat, I'm pretty sure takes pride in that boat. That boat is not cheap. That boat is as much as some people's homes, probably what the home you're living in right now. The boat is not cheap, all right? Even though that could be an older boat, it's still not cheap. So they take pride in that boat. Not including the upkeep on it. Upkeep on a boat is very expensive. Now, It's like somebody in their car that takes very good care of their car. They're probably going to take a lot of pictures of it and have it on Facebook, on Instagram. The same thing with their boats. They're going to have pictures of them fishing in a boat. Look what I caught. Now, I went to the social media. I did see boats. I did see jet skis. But all the boats I've seen, none of them matched this Mac Daddy boat. None of them are even close to matching this Mac Daddy boat. There were actually different type of boats and different type of models. Now, Katie's last name is McCormack, M-A-C-K. So some people are like, hey, could it be a play off the last name, Mac Daddy? Possible. But then you also have, if you go on social media and look up Mac Daddy boat or Google, you also have Mac Daddy excursions and yeah, you have more than just this one type of Mac Daddy, all right? So I tried looking, but I really can't find who this boat belongs to. So I believe if somebody can find this boat, who it belongs to, if that was Nolan on the back of it, why was Nolan on the back of it, and what time was that, we might get some questions answered. The one last thing is Nolan's mom said she talked to Katie. And Katie explained it was a hear and buy thing. So, but she says she doesn't know who Katie is. And my question to that would be, if you don't know who Katie is, but you took the time to talk to her to figure out what happened to Nolan, why didn't you take the time to talk to Warren and his mom when they reached out to you to figure out what happened to Nolan? We need this answered. So that way you can even see if Warren and his friends are lying, if they match it with Katie's statement. Because if you ain't talked to them, then how do you even know? You're just going off what other people are saying. So this is a very reasonable question. Why? Why Katie if you don't know her? And why not talk to Nolan or Nolan's friends when they reached out? That just baffles me. And that's a question I'm probably always going to ask in every one of these videos until it gets answered, because it's a legit question. Because I lost a kid before. I lost a son. And I know what the feeling's like. I exactly know what the feeling is like to not have your child with you and to blame yourself. But I also know I myself wanted to know everything that happened. I didn't care who I talked to, if I liked them or not. I need to figure out what happened to my son. So that's the part I don't understand. And I don't know if that's because of what Ben Crump is trying to get them to do, like, oh, don't talk to them. Let's force this narrative. Let's do this. I don't know, because Ben Crump is forcing a lot of narratives when you listen to him talk. But you guys let me know, what do you think below? Do you think these questions are legitimate questions? Are these questions something that you would ask yourself when it comes to this? And if these questions were answered, would we maybe even have some answer on what happened with Nolan? Possibly. I don't know, but I'm trying to find these facts. I'm trying to find exactly what's going on. I believe some of these secrets might lie in that boat that nobody wants to talk about. I don't know why. So if you want to know about this boat, please follow, subscribe, stay tuned, because I'm going to figure out who belongs in that boat. Trust me, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. So might take a while, but we're going to figure it out. Please like and subscribe. We are almost at 35,000 subscribers. You guys have done so much for me. Thank you so much. I am one of the fastest growing channels. It used to be just in true crime, but now it's in all of YouTube, guys. I am one of the fastest growing channels in all of YouTube. I got a notification that said I'm in the 25th percentile in all of YouTube, okay? That is a big deal. So I know I'm doing something right with you guys. So thank you so much. Comment below, drop your algorithm. Please join the membership. It helps this channel grow, and it helps me be able to do this channel full time like I'm planning to do this channel, all right? Please go look at my other Nolan Wells videos. If you have questions, I probably already have covered it. And Even if you want to go look at some other cases I have covered, which I'm still covering, but hey, Nolan Wells is taking up a lot of time, which is fine because we all want the truth. So I really don't mind doing my 4 to 6 hours of research a day just on Nolan Wells, all right? So thank you so much, you guys. And please, 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 please take care of one another. Love one another. Look out at your surroundings. Watch your surroundings. And until next time, this is Fugitive TV, and I am out.